The Cleveland Browns have the weirdest quarterback situation in the NFL right now. You got 5 QBs currently on the team. You got Deshaun Watson coming off an Achilles injury, Joe Flacco, who you recently signed in free agency with the hope that maybe he can recapture some of that magic a few years ago when he came in and turned your season around, led you to the postseason. You traded for Kenny Pickett, a former first-round pick, and then you double-dipped in the draft at quarterback. You drafted Dillon Gabriel in round 3. You took Shedeur a few rounds later in the 5th round. With the amount of bodies that the Browns currently have in their quarterback room, somebody's going to be the odd man out. The question is Shedeur going to be that odd man? Is he going to be the quarterback that the Browns end up cutting because they don't have enough roster space to retain all of these guys? From a talent standpoint, Shedeur was a second-round pick, according to a bunch of anonymous coaches that have spoke out about his slide in the draft. Plenty of coaches feel that he's good enough to be a 10-year starter in this league. And Dillon Gabriel, for as productive as a collegiate career that he had, him going to the Browns was a really bad fit in my opinion. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not that big. He's not really that mobile. And going to a city where you're going to be playing a lot of football in cold weather with no dome, I just don't feel he's going to work out in Cleveland. And Shedeur, as a prospect, is better than what Dillon Gabriel was coming out of college. He has a stronger arm, a little bit more athletic. He's bigger in size. There's a lot of limitations that Dillon Gabriel has to overcome, and just playing in Cleveland doesn't give him the best chance to overcome those. Kenny Pickett, more so, is a career backup at this stage of his career. We kind of know what he is. He doesn't really have any traits that make you go, wow, like you got to start this guy. This guy should be ahead of Shedeur on the depth chart. Joe Flacco, without a doubt, he more than likely is going to be the week 1 starter. Kevin Stefanski, you want to go with somebody that knows the system, somebody that you're comfortable with, and Joe Flacco gives you that. And Deshaun Watson, Diddy Watson, the Browns at this point are pretty much all but done with them. When the owner comes out before the draft and says that, yeah, we made a mistake trading for this guy, giving him all that money, it all but shows us that they're done with this guy. They've already moved on from him. So even if he is able to get back into playing shape, I don't expect him to be a factor in any of the Browns' plans this year, which opens the door for Shedeur Sanders to not just make the team, but the thought of Shedeur Sanders getting cut by the Browns is absolutely ridiculous. He is going to make this roster. He is currently the second best quarterback on this team from a talent standpoint. Any QB like Kenny Pickett that comes out with 2 gloves, wearing 2 long sleeves, is a quarterback that you can't take seriously. You're a duck if you wear 2 long sleeves and 2 gloves at quarterback. You're just a joke to me. I've never seen a quarterback play at a high level that had the kind of attire that Kenny Pickett had. He does have a strong arm. He's not that mobile. Like, what are we talking about? Shedeur versus Kenny Pickett? Give me Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur versus Dillon Gabriel? Give me Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur versus Diddy Watson? Give me Shedeur Sanders. Deshaun Watson has been the worst quarterback in the NFL since he arrived to Cleveland. And despite him saying that, oh, y'all counting me out, y'all making a mistake, I'm going to come back better and stronger, we're done with you. This is Shedeur's job to lose, in my opinion. And if he doesn't start week 1, he eventually will start at some point during the season. Because if the Browns are 2-7, 2-8, going into late November, you know the name the fans are going to be chanting in the stands. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders. And the owner is not going to allow the Browns to cut a player that brings this much marketability, publicity to the team. And Shedeur is also going to put fans in seats. When things are going left for Cleveland and they have nothing else to look forward to, he can throw Shedeur Sanders in, and that's going to be a reason to still keep fans invested on this year. I think that Shedeur sitting for a few weeks would best help him, because if you throw him out to the Wolves early in a division that's tough as the AFC North, you somewhat are putting him in a really tough spot. But if you allow him to soak up some of that game from Joe Flacco, it could do him a lot of favors. The Browns have a situation that is conducive to Shedeur having success early on. They got a pretty good offensive line. They got a good group of wide receivers to throw the football to. They got a really good defense. I'll be shocked if the Browns cut Shedeur Sanders. And I'm really surprised that there's a good amount of people out there, or I should say a certain particular group of people out there that think Shedeur is actually going to get cut. There's no chance the Browns cut Shedeur. If anything, they cut Deshaun Watson before they cut Shedeur Sanders, and Dillon Gabriel probably ends up running scout team on the practice squad for Cleveland. The way I expect this Royal Rumble match that the Browns are having at quarterback with these 5 guys is that Deshaun gets cut, Joe Flacco wins the job, Shedeur wins the backup job over Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel, and either Kenny or Dillon get regulated to run the scout team, more likely Dillon Gabriel. Shedeur had a second-round grade. According to most of the scouts and analysts and coaches out there, they felt he was a second-round prospect with the upside of becoming a really good starter in this league. And if the Browns get that out of Shedeur, not saying they'll get that this season, but down the road, he gives you a good chance to make it to the playoffs and possibly become a Super Bowl contender if he elevates past that and he becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But the idea of the Browns cutting Shedeur Sanders, I think, is absolutely ridiculous, and I see him being a guaranteed lock to make this roster.